Thank you for joining us today. We are live in sunny Port St. Lucie, Florida at Mets Fantasy Camp. We're joined by two very special guests. We're going to be discussing camp and how baseball players can stay healthy on the diamond. So would you like to both introduce yourselves?
Oh yes, I'm Mookie Wilson. I personally work with Mets as an ambassador, and today I am a coach here at Mets Fantasy Camp.
Hi, Facebook. My name is Brian Goonan. I'm an advanced clinician, physical therapist at Hospital for Special Surgery, and I'm helping out the athletic trainers and physical therapists down here, keeping guys on the field.
Thank you both so much for joining us today and talking to our viewers. If you're watching and have any questions during the broadcast, please comment below and we will get to as many as possible. So let's get started. So Mookie, what is Mets Fantasy Camp?
Well, Met Fantasy Camp is an opportunity for all Met fans and baseball fans in general to come out and do have an experience of what major leagues go through and what we have to do in terms of prepare for the game, and as the game goes along, all the ins and outs and things that we don't normally see as a fan, and you get the experiences down here in Fantasy Camp.
That's great. Who typically attends this?
Met Fantasy Camp is typically available to anyone who's a fantasy, baseball lover who wants to have the experience to come out. You can be male or female, it doesn't matter. You just have a desire to want to be on the baseball field.
That's great. How long is the camp?
Normally the camp lasts a week, and normally this year we're split up into 2 weeks because it grew so big, we had too many people. So normally it lasts for about 5-6 days, and then we have a little ceremonies at the end.
Great. So what are some of the things that campers are actually doing this week, and what are some things they learned?
Well, this week initially the first day is always introduction and find out what you do, what guys do for a living and that type of stuff. And then the next day we come out and have a little training session where you give the coaches the opportunity to see what the players are capable, physically able to do. And after that time, we usually have a draft where we actually draft the players, so we get a chance to put players that we want on our team. Then we do basic stuff that major leaguers do. We have a batting practice, we have fielding practice, we have pitching practice, and all those fundamentals, so guys get to experience that as well.
That's great. So Brian, I understand this is your first time here. What is your role here?
So first time down in Mets Fantasy Camp. I'm honored to be here, and my primary job is to keep these guys on the field. So it could be anything from ice, heat, simple things like that, placebo stuff, all the way up to taping ankles if there's a little tweak, to stretching out the athletes as well.
That's great. So why does HSS get involved with Fantasy Camp?
Well, HSS, I've been part of the Hospital of Special Surgery for 2 years, and I can vouch that we treat the entire spectrum of athletes. Everyone from amateur athletes on the weekend, of which I am one, to professional athletes, and everyone in between. And I think it's important to show that we don't just work with the famous people on the Instagram, but also the everyday athlete as well.
That's very true. So Mookie, how long have you been coming down here?
Oh wow, I'm a long timer. I come down every year, and I think for the past 3 years consistently I've been here. But the Mets Fantasy Camp is going on for 20 or so years now.
That's great. So what is your role exactly? So you're a coach of a team? How does that work?
I'm a coach of a team. I coach a team and I manage a team. We have 3 other coaches along with me. This year we have Barry Lyons and Ed Hearn. So we split it up as a manager, an outfield coach, and we have a pitching coach as well. So it's basically the major league experience. So I do what we do.
That's great. So obviously after you were a player, you coached, you managed big leagues, minor leagues. How, in all those roles, how did you work with the medical staff and trainers to really make sure players stay healthy, whether it's the big leagues or something like Fantasy Camp?
Well, it's important that the coaches and medical staff, are all on the same page. We know what players are capable of doing. We know what players have limitations, so that we don't ask players to do things that they are physically not able to do. So one of the most important things that at any level is for coaches and medical staff to actually communicate, so they know what players we have and what we're able to get these players to do to prevent extended injuries or any serious injuries and stuff like that.
That's great. So Brian, as we did, most of these campers came from New York, where it's freezing and I think it's about to start snowing. So, they're coming from these cold temperatures down to this very much warmer temperature. How can they prevent injury switching temperatures like that so quickly?
So the biggest injury risk is that there's going to be a big spike in their workload, basically going from sitting at the desk for 40 plus hours a week to now all of a sudden playing 8 games in a week, hopefully 9. And the best thing that you could do is learn how to recover, and that involves hydration, good food, and sleeping, right? So if you have that stimulus from all day, being in the sun, getting a good stretch afterwards, which we're helping out with, and then being able to get some good food in you and a good 8 hours rest, ideally, you get them ready for the next day.
That's great. So what are some of the common injuries that you see in this demographic? So kind of that 35 and up, typically male. You know, what are some of the common injuries you see on the diamond?
So far we've treated a lot of hip tightness, makes sense from sitting at the desk, and now sprinting from a dead stop. That doesn't really, sitting at a desk doesn't prepare you for sprinting. So we've done a lot of hip stretching. We've had the occasional ankle tweak, which isn't too bad. And let's see, what else? And the occasional, you know, just blisters on the fingers and blisters on the toes.
So far minor. We are on day 2, so I don't want to jinx it. Well, that's great. Well, I think we have a question from the audience.
Yep, so we have a question from Steve. Steve would like to know, how important is warming up and stretching before playing baseball as we start getting older?
Good question for you.
All right, sounds good.
You both can jump in.
So we like to not just do some static stretches, which can, in some studies show that there is some injury risk with the static stretches, but get you calibrated into your body with a dynamic stretch. Whether we're doing some bird dog exercises, which I could demonstrate.
Yeah,
right?
let's do it.
So simply opposite arm and leg, finding out how your core is activating that certain day, doing some lunges, seeing if you got some good hip mobility, and the big athletic activity, performing a squat, making sure that looks good and you get full mobility there.
That's great. So let's talk more about the training. Obviously, these guys are playing actual baseball games, but we talked about the importance of warming up. Why? What are some of the training programs here?
Well, from our standpoint, from the managers and coaches standpoint, our biggest thing is make sure we stretch. Before you do anything, stretching is the first thing you do, and that's no matter what level you're going to do. Down here is more important because we're dealing with an older group of guys, so it's more important that we really stretch. Hamstrings are important, quads are important, and obliques. This is very important for us to do that. So stretching is the first thing that we try to make sure we take care of. Light throwing, take it easy, throwing short distance, and gradually increase the distance to make sure that we don't pull muscles or hurt shoulders and stuff. Because understand, these guys have been sitting down all winter, and so the muscles are not used to this. First thing we have to remember that your arm wasn't made to throw a baseball in the first place. So we're asking the body to do something that is not accustomed to doing. So we make sure we take everything slow.
I'm actually, on to that point, I'm surprised we haven't seen more oblique injuries.
Yeah.
I think I only saw one in the last 2 days, so we're doing all right there.
Yeah, we're good.
Training's working.
What are some stretches that people can do? Obviously, you're helping everyone here. What are some simple stretches that people can do at home if they kind of are in that age group and want to get into activity, whether it's as strenuous as fantasy camp or not?
Well, believe it or not, you are supposed to be able to touch your toes as an adult. It's not just a thing for kids. So if you can't touch your toes and you're doing all these hamstring stretches, you should probably figure out why. But if you're not stretching your hamstrings, that's the best thing to do. And you could do it while you're sitting on the couch watching the Mets game. Put your foot up, just try and touch your toes there, one leg at a time. We could
So
do
we're
that.
talking about sitting or standing?
I'll demonstrate again.
Yeah.
Sitting on the couch, one leg up, just touching the toe, right? And stretching quads, as you said as well, getting in front of the couch, putting the leg on the couch, getting that up there. You can do that in the commercial breaks.
Sounds good to me. So camp obviously is 1 week long, but the baseball season is very long. So whether you're at fantasy camp or a normal baseball season, how can players pace themselves health-wise so they last the whole season?
That's a very difficult question. Pace yourself is important, and when you play in the major league season, we're talking about 162 ball games. So there's a lot of stress on the body, so you have to be able, and everybody is different, so we can't say that there's a certain rule. So you have to know how much pre-game exercising you're going to do and what you're going to do after the game. So you have to come up with a program, and we call it a routine in baseball. So every player has this routine. So you got to know how many wind sprints or how many laps you're going to run, before game and after the game, whatever your post-game workout is going to be. And you have to establish that early. The older you get, the less you're going to do after the game, and probably the more you're going to do before the game. So it all depends on the age level and the talent level.
If I could add to that, it's not about any rocket science.
No.
It's about staying limber and staying agile as long as you get older. And it's just about doing it consistently. Doing it every day is really key. And if you are part of a team, it makes it a little bit easier because you're like, hey, how's your stretch going? And you got that camaraderie, kind of adding it in, helping motivate.
That's great. I think we have another question.
So we have a question from Greg. Greg is asking, What is your favorite part about being at fantasy camp? Maybe if you both can answer that question.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's easy. First of all, just being on the baseball field, I'm happy. I love being on the field. I love teaching. And I think the most fun part here is to watch guys live out their dreams. I mean, to watch guys that are 60 and 70 years old, you know, hit a baseball and actually run and turn a double play. You know, it's something they've never been able to do. To me, it's just a joy to watch that. You know, it doesn't matter how fast you run, how hard you can throw. I mean, that's irrelevant. It's not, winning is not even a big thing. It's able to go out and play the game, things that everyone dreams about doing. To me, that's a joy.
And other than the obvious of it being sunny and 7, I don't know how I beat that answer. That was a great answer. I was like, yeah, it is. Sunny, 73, and we're helping people learn a little bit more about their bodies and how to maintain their body, you know. Baseball and winning is one of the best motivations for maintaining your athletics. So if I could give you a little tidbit on how to correct this or correct that, I'm happy to help.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, we've been here for a day, and I've seen you coach. I've seen these guys get incredibly excited.
Oh yeah.
It's just exciting. It's an exciting atmosphere.
It's really a lot of fun, and to watch guys get better as you go along. I mean, I'm used to watching 18-years-olds get better. Yeah. I'm accustomed to that, but when you see guys that are 60, 70, we have one guy that gets 77 years old, and each year they just get better. They get better, and you see them, and it helps us because when we draft them the next year, I want this guy. Yep. I want that guy, and it becomes a very competitive thing for those coaches, and it's just great to see.
So are you saying that people come back more than once?
Oh yeah, we have guys that have been there for the 15th year. So, and once you come here, you're hooked. You know, so yeah, we have guys that repeat.
So this draft is a real thing. You don't know anyone.
Yeah. It's a real thing. We know some guys and stuff. Sometimes guys get picked right before you can get a chance to pick them, and you know, we start arguing about who we want. You know, we hope to institute the trades pretty soon. That's our next move.
That's great. Now I understand. Is there something that happens the last day of camp where they get to play?
Yes.
Someone else?
Yeah. Yes. One of the little bonuses at the fantasy camp at the end of the week is that all the campers, the select group of campers, usually the winning team, they get to play all the pros, and that's always a fun thing. So they get a chance to hit against our pitchers. They get a chance to pitch against us, you know, and it's always a lot of fun, and we enjoy it, you know. But sometimes we have to back off a little bit and understand that we're not as young as we used to be either, you know. But you know, when you start playing, it, competitiveness is there, and it's a fun time for all of us.
So you play?
I play every year, you know, and I'm still trying to hit one out.
What do you do to keep in shape?
I cut a lot of grass. You know, I live in South Carolina, so there's no snow. I don't have to shovel snow, but the grass never stops growing, so I end up cutting grass a lot. And I'm an outdoorsman. I love being outdoors, and during the season, I throw a lot of batting practice, and I do a lot of work with the kids. So it's just, you know, it's something that I do, and it works out for me.
That's great. So fantasy camp, when you were saying about having older people here and kind of a little bit younger, it's kind of like HSS. You know, we treat athletes across the whole spectrum, whether they're kids, amateurs, so it's kind of the same sort of thing here, where you see people, you can see a 35-year-old, and looking now, you can see a 35-year-old, give or take, and someone who's a little bit older, and yet it seems like they're just all working together.
But and I think that's good because we have the generations gap. You know, we have fathers and sons, you know, sons and grandfathers, and we have mothers and sons. Oh yeah, we have a couple ladies. Ladies are down here and they're playing. Matter of fact, one lady won an award yesterday in the game. She won MVP of the game. Oh, awesome. You know, and so it's one of those things where it's a great family thing. You know, families can get together and they can share an experience. And I had the experience of playing with my father on the same team, so I understand what that means and how important that is. So, dad, sons, mom, daughters, hey, it's a great family event.
That's great. I think we have another question.
So if you've never played a particular sport, what's the way to best transition into one? And maybe you can speak both from the training perspective and then also from a player-coach perspective.
Wow, that's a great question. Mainly because we have a guy that came all the way from England. Never played baseball in his life. Played cricket, but never played baseball in his life. And he played last year, and he signed up to come back again this year for 2 weeks, you know. And it's that experience. There's something about American baseball that's just different. So the one thing you have to do is just understand, no matter what sport you're on, the one thing that's important is that you have to have your body prepared to take the workload. And I think once you do that, then to get on the field, then you adjust.
All right, and further to that point, I mean, how tall is that guy?
He's like 6'9".
Yeah. He's huge. So, you know, how he prepares his body is going to be different from how someone who's 4'11" and female, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But you got to find out what works for you.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to find something that you can do consistently that doesn't get you injured, and that's your training for a sport that you're motivated to play.
Yeah, that's the key.
Kind of going along with training, also the importance of cross-training, right? And not using the same muscles all the time, but trying different things. So even if you're a baseball player, trying different things in the off-season or what have you, to make you a better baseball player, as counterintuitive as that seems.
Well, the thing about baseball and sports in general, that every sport is different. There are baseball-specific exercises that we do have and that we do institute. But there are some basic things that you need to do. We've mentioned the hamstrings and the quads and the obliques and stuff. Those are basics no matter what sport you're playing. But there are other exercises that we use in baseball for rotator cuff and wrist and all that kind of stuff that you implement. So it just depends on what sport you want to move into, and you consult a professional and find out what exercises best benefit you to play the sport that you want to play.
And it's never too late to start.
Oh,
never too late.
Never too late.
That's great. So let's go a little bit into some positions in depth. So, you know, all players kind of have to slide at some point, whether you're going after a fly ball in the outfield or sliding into home plate. What are some basic pointers that you both have for people so you can slide safely?
Well, you know, I'm going to tell you the one thing about sliding. It's best if you never have to slide. But at some point, you probably will have to slide. It's just like you teach a kid how to fall and roll. You have to learn how to do it because bodies are different and stuff of that nature. So it's important to learn the techniques of sliding. And that is one technique that, you know, you really have to be on the field to show you how to do it. But, you know, just the falling down is not good. Sliding has to be done in a safe way. And if it can't be done in a safe way, it's best not to do it at all. But that being said, if you play baseball long enough, you will have to eventually slide. And it's important to get with someone to teach you the proper way to slide, whether it's head first slide or feet first slide. Some coaches, they absolutely deny you. They don't want you to slide head first because of the risk, the injury to your head and to your shoulders and stuff. They recommend feet first, which I recommend feet first slide all the time. I was the head first slider, but that was after years of doing it, and I was able to do it safely. So you have to learn how to slide both ways, feet first and head first.
Took my answer away. You know, if you do want to slide head first, you know, batting gloves in the fingers our way. If you have the instincts, that's a good trick. But yeah, just practicing getting to the ground. You know, it's common for soccer goalies. It's common for baseball sliding as well.
Great. So let's talk about pitching. So these guys, as we said, are not professionals, and they come from desk jobs or what have you, and all of a sudden they're pitching and using these arm muscles in ways that they haven't before. How can they prevent injury and really not overexert themselves?
Oh man, I don't know how you can prevent injuries. The best way to prevent any injury is proper warming up. You have to warm the body up and get it accustomed to doing what you want to do. Now, whether you're physically able to throw the ball that distance, that's another story in itself. But if you're not properly warming up, it's going to make it much more difficult and it's much easier to, you know, to get that injury, which means shoulders, which is the most common if you're not accustomed to long distance on baseball. So, you know, you have to loosen up. You have to get.
What do you think about doing long toss as a prep? You have your players do?
Long toss is one of the best ways of doing it, but understand down here when we have guys that haven't thrown, well, I mean, what is long toss? How far is long?
Right, exactly.
That's the other thing, but throwing long toss is a great way to extend the muscles and getting it, extending the arm to, you know, to release the ball. But throwing a baseball and long toss is all about release point, and I think you have to throw to be able to do that. Right. So there again, you go back to making sure that the body is loose and able to go to the ball.
I think we have another question.
So do the warm-ups that you suggest vary based on the position you play, or are there standard warm-ups for players in all positions?
There are some standard warm-ups that you do regardless of what position you play. You know, the hamstring stretch, the quad stretch, you know, oblique stretches, those are absolutely mandatory. You have to do those things. But there are other stretches and things that you use if you're playing the infield or you're playing the outfield or you're pitching, there are other stretches, and I think that you might be able to demonstrate those more.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So one of the common things that's kind of sweeping strength and conditioning are just articulations and practicing full ranges of motion and realizing that you may have an asymmetrical range of motion, working on the bad side versus the good side, both for shoulders and hips. Those are the two common injuries that we see because they're ball and socket joints. And those ball and socket joints have muscles that are going to prevent too much rotation. As we're practicing, and training and going through this big workload, those little muscles, of which you only hear about once you're injured, rotator cuff, piriformis, they pop up after a big workload.
Great. Let's talk about catchers. Also, these guys are not professionals, and I see them squatting with all the gear on. So how can catchers protect their knees?
Well, that's an interesting question because we have one catcher here that he's been coming for a couple of years now, and what he's doing, he's preparing to come down for the workload. And what he does is, all winter long is squats. Because he does that, and he said he does that now, and he's able to catch 2 games a day. Just by doing that one little simple thing.
He shared with me his injury history. When I see him running down the first base, I'm rooting for him. Absolutely every time. I saw him get thrown out by a step just now, and I was like, my heart was broken. I'm like, no one has tried harder this offseason than that guy.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
So some people do warm up before they come.
Oh, it's ideal if you can. If you can prepare yourself for the big spike in workload, that's the best prevention you can do.
Your squats look pretty good.
Oh yeah, getting up wasn't that easy. Going down is always easy.
It's always easy.
It looks very smooth to me. So we talked a lot about the importance of warming up and stretching before. What about cooling down? Why is that important?
Well, I'm cooling down with this group of guys. They're not worried about cooling down. They just want to get heated up. All right. But as for the cool down,
Yeah. So as we like to say, the warm up is for today. The cool down is for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. So after you're getting a little tweak, it's important to get into the training room, get some stretching going, maybe get in the cold tub. You can last 8 minutes, 10 minutes. You're doing great. And help yourself get prepared for the next day.
Great. Is there anything else about fantasy camp we haven't covered or you want to talk about?
Well, the one thing about fantasy camp, it's a great thing. And we have to remember that Mets Fantasy Camp, particularly here at Mets Fantasy Camp, there are other organizations that have fantasy camp, but the Mets Fantasy Camp is all about fun. It's all about fun. If you win, that's just icing on the cake. But if you come down, you have fun, you can go back home and have the experience that you may not win, but you will have an experience that you can share with your kids and your grandkids and stuff. And this is what it's all about. Understand you're living out of fantasy.
So my dad is 73, still plays softball with me in the spring and summer. And I think this is an ideal location for him to come down, right?
Perfect.
If you could say to the camera, Michael Goonan, you should come down to fantasy camp next
Now,
year.
Mike, listen to me good. You what, 73?
73.
You're 73 years old. You're a young man. we have guys down here that are almost 80 years old, and you'll never know. So come on down, join us.
Thank you.
That's great. And how do you sign up?
And the Mets have a website
that
you can go on, and they have the whole day, the schedule and everything. Just go to the Mets website, type in Mets Fantasy Camp, and everything will come up.
That's great. Well, thank you both so much for joining us, and thank you all for tuning in. If you have any additional questions or want to learn more about HSS, please leave a comment below or visit hss.edu. Thank you.